Welcome, all of you maze enthusiasts. This is Bill M. here with another maze commentary on Christopher Manson's book Maze, and this is going to be a special one. It's going to be part one of a three-part commentary on the riddle of the maze, one of the biggest puzzles that's in the book. So an overview of what part one is going to cover. This part will not have any spoilers. I'm going to do the spoilers in 2 and 3. But this time in part 1, I'm going to just lay out some facts about the riddle that is hidden in Christopher Manson's book Maze, again, without giving anything away, and why I want to talk about the riddle now before, going over more room exits like I've been doing, and ironically how I think looking at the maze riddle might actually help us learn more about the other rooms. I'm going to talk about history of the contest that was made for solving the riddle. I'm going to talk about riddles in general. And again, parts 2 and 3 are going to have spoilers, but even then they'll be very gradual. This one, part 1, will not have spoilers. And if you are brand new to my channel, I suggest you try watching some of the earlier clips I did about Maze, maybe the first 4 or 5, because I do kind of build off of themes, as we have here. And of course, being a YouTube person, I always have to say, hey, please give this clip a like, subscribe, even if you like this. All right, let's get started. So to give a recap, there are 3 main challenges presented in the book Maze, and they are explicitly given in the book's directions. 1, find the shortest path from room 1 to room 45 and back, 45 being the center of the maze. And you are explicitly told that this will take 16 steps to find the shortest. There are other paths that go from 1 to 45 and back, but the shortest is 16 steps, no more. The second challenge is to find the riddle that is hidden in room 45, and then the third challenge is find the answer to that riddle, and you are told it is hidden somewhere along that shortest path. Now, there are additional things in Maze to enjoy. I keep saying this, and I will keep saying this. There's the artwork, there's the side stories, there's a little humor, and just the overall mystique of the book. And there are still problems to solve besides these 3, such as choosing the correct doors for the other rooms. What are the clues to do that? Trying to best determine what clues the author intended. That's always the ongoing thing. Learning about the guide as a character, and so on. So we do know what the riddle is, and we know it only because of a contest. So let's recap that quickly. Back in the mid-1980s, there was a $10,000 contest to solve all 3 of those challenges I just showed on the previous slide. So the rules, to paraphrase, you had to send in your answers to all 3 of those challenges, send them in to the publisher by a certain deadline, and if there was still no correct answer to all 3, then they would extend the contest another 6 months and send out a set of hints to solving the riddle. And if there were still no answers, they would send out another set of hints, extend the contest by another 6 months. And then if there were still no correct answers, no definitive winner, they said they would divide up the prize based on what were the most nearly correct answers, based on a point system. So the bottom line, did anybody win all 3? Did they guess all 3 correctly before the contest was over? No. Even with the hints, they still didn't get it. Nobody ever got it correct. Now, many fans before and since then have figured out the shortest path. I mean, I figured that out more so thanks to, trial and error and mapping than necessarily following clues. But even with those 2 sets of hints that were sent for trying to solve the riddle, nobody correctly found the riddle, let alone found the answer to the riddle on the shortest path. Well, after that contest was over, you could write to the publisher to get the solution, and many fans did just that, and they got the answers back from the publisher, and some of them posted them online in the 1990s. I found the answers myself in the FAQ for a Usenet group called rec.puzzles. Those are what we used for communication online before fancy things like the World Wide Web. So the bottom line is we do know with 100% certainty what the three solutions are. The publisher revealed them. We do know definitively the shortest path, what the riddle is, what the answer to the riddle is. Now, if you want to just see what these solutions are, you can search around online and find them. I recommend you don't spoil it for yourself. But without giving things away, here is one thing I do want to say about the riddle, and I don't really consider this a spoiler. For anybody trying to find the riddle on their own, just to put this point of reassurance out, the riddle is not something totally meta or esoteric. It's not like the riddle of the maze is finding the riddle itself. Yeah, that's the answer. Or the riddle is there's no riddle. Here's a guess that I had at the time as I had this book 30 years ago and was racking my brains. I noticed in room 45, it says, as far as you are concerned, what the riddle teaches can be found in every room. So I'm thinking like, well, in every room, you only see the room from one side. That's how it's drawn. And in room 37, which is on the shortest path, it says we must examine this from all sides now. So maybe that is the riddle. How many sides does the problem have? You have to look at it from all sides. So anyway, yeah, that was a complete rabbit hole of an answer I dreamed up in my head. So no, the riddle, again, not giving any spoilers, I will say this. The riddle is an actual riddle. It is a set of words in English phrased as a question, and the words that make that up are hidden somewhere in room 45. So I just want to throw that out there before people get too far down the wrong rabbit hole on trying to think about the riddle if you've been thinking about it. But I will say this, the riddle, once I took a look at it, even like a partial look, I was looking through rec.puzzles at the FAQ and started reading the answer. I was like, oh, no, wait, I don't want to read anymore, but I caught a glimpse of it. And the bottom line is, it is not something I would have gotten in hundreds of years if I got to work with the book. And I think I speak for a lot of fans when I say that. All right, well, if that's the case, then it's reasonable to ask, why bother? And some of you may be saying, well, Bill, shouldn't you go over the first challenge in the book first? Finding the shortest path before we jump into the riddle, the big thing that's supposed to be the challenge only after you do find the shortest path and so on. Yeah, I could do that, but as I've said many times, we know the shortest path already, mostly due to trial and error, and other fans have figured it out. I figured it out. But fans like myself are curious about re-engineering this and trying to determine what clues the author intended. I still maintain it is not an impossible task. It's not purely blind guessing. And we do have the official solution of the riddle and its answer. So here is what I propose. I propose that knowing those solutions with the riddle, we may get a better idea of how the author created their clues, and then use that to help us find ways to find other legit clues in the book, such as the clues for picking the doors in the different rooms. And from doing this, we might get a better idea of what the author intended without our minds being lost down to all these complicated answers that we say to rationalize answers to ourselves that are not close to anything at all. And like I said, I knew I could never find the riddle on my own in 100 years. And I think that's the same case with other people. So that's another justification I have for, all right, let's just take a look at the riddle. Even so, like I said, I will be giving these spoilers gradually in parts 2 and 3. I won't be blurting out the answer at the beginning and then showing how we got it. I'll be taking it very gradually. Now, I want to finish up this part 1 by just talking about a few more general things. Let's look at riddles in general. So what is a riddle? Well, here are some examples that you may have heard. What has many teeth but can't bite anything? That's the riddle. The answer is a comb. Or where does today come before yesterday? That's another riddle. The answer is in a dictionary. In a dictionary is where today comes before yesterday. When is a door not a door? The answer is when it is ajar. So, in general, riddles are puzzles that are usually put forth in the form of a question, and they often involve puns or metaphors in order to solve. Now, again, Maze's riddle is an actual riddle, not entirely unlike these examples. So it is an exact question made up of words. And likewise, the riddle's answer, which lies somewhere along the shortest path, is made up of words you can construct by examining the rooms. So I bring all of this up just to leave you with this general thought. I've run into people online in reviews of Maze and some people who've left comments, some of which I deleted because they were kind of nasty. But some people who say that they like puzzles, they like solving things, and they hate the book Maze. Well, let me ask you this. Are you the kind of person who says they like puzzles, but you groan at the riddles I just gave? Like, for example, when it is a jar. Did you maybe even get angry at that one? Did you say, well, that's not fair at all because a jar and a jar don't mean the same thing. There's a jar, that's a single word, and that's not the same as a jar. That's not a puzzle, that's a dad joke. Are you somebody who can do Sudoku? Maybe you're good at math problems, but then you come across a homework problem that's a word problem and you just freeze up? If so, then maybe Maze isn't for you. That's fine if you're more of a strictly linear thinker with that, but Maze, I would argue, is not a puzzle book created strictly for the kind of linear left-brained person. There's a lot of right-brain stuff in it. There's more cerebral puzzles within it. Language and humor and second thinking and stuff. And this shows up in wordplay, anagrams, homophones, puns. And I say all this as a left-brain nerd myself. I've got my degrees in math. I consider myself a pretty left-brain nerd. But again, Maze is something that requires a little more thinking, I would argue, than that kind of thinking. So I want to just mention that now, and this is something I suggest you keep in mind if you stick with me for parts 2 and 3. And those are definitely going to have some spoilers. So hope to see you then. In the meantime, thanks for watching.